This is Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth, and I am so excited to bring you the one and only Warren Whitlock today. We're going to talk blockchain. We're going to talk about understanding that tech is coming and that you're going to need to bring it into your business in lots of new ways. Change is inevitable. The more you give, the more you get. We're going to talk about all that and more right after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
Warren Whitlock, one of Forbes' top 10 social media power influencers. His breakthrough strategies to integrate mobile marketing, public relations, and lead generation with conversions to return on investment for lifetime value has helped hundreds of businesses achieve rapid and continuing results from their marketing process. Warren is also a true best-selling author himself, having penned the first major book on Twitter called Twitter Revolution. He's a director advisor in the business of future tech, focused on exponential growth in blockchain, media, and e-commerce. Welcome to the show, Mr. Warren Whitlock. Thank you for being with me.
Hi, glad to be here. I got to say that's an incredible theme. I've been interviewed many times, and I don't get impressed by theme songs.
Thank you. I get a lot of
I'm not giving you a thumbs up per se, but I'm very much impressed. I don't think you're going to win a Grammy there.
Appreciate it. No, thank you very much. So we try to do a professional job with the show and try to get people in the mood and get in the spirit. So tell everybody what you're doing right now to help businesses, if you will.
Well, right now it's ask me on any given day, and that's going to change because I'm always out there looking to find the latest technology, the latest ideas, and it changes from day to day. The world's fast changing. Right now, this is a year of AI. I think AI is coming out like crazy. We're just not. It's becoming so common that it's dropping into everything that we do, and that's something that I'm really focused on right now. Aside from that, got a company to run and of course blockchain. You might have heard the crypto's doing pretty well right now, but it's a lot more than the crypto. Blockchain is a underpinning technology, along with some others. And so what I have found in my many years is that the world's going to change, and it's going to change faster tomorrow than it did today or yesterday. And so you got to be ready for that, doubling the information every year. So always looking at focus on going faster and being ready for change.
And talk to me, I mean, how did you get into all this stuff? How did you get an understanding of this piece? How did you go, get early? Why was the passion there to write the book on Twitter? How did you get into business, and how have you stayed passionate about it after all these years?
Well, first of all, business is business depending on no matter what you do. So the nice thing about working on something like the emerging technologies, there's always someone far smarter than me doing it, and especially as I'm advising company. They've got their technology, they've got their idea, they've gone to school, studied, spent countless hours building something, and then when it comes to how do we tell the world about it, that's the part that fundamentally hasn't changed from the days of when you would go, door to door, or a town crier, or even before there was media. But especially since there's been media, and that means printing. We have been, sharing information beyond what we can tell a person. And so, and that's grown in my lifetime. TV was brand new when I was a kid, and and that became a major thing. Newspapers were well established, got bigger, magazines, and those type of things. But I learned something very early on. Obviously, I won't go into the rest of the media that winds up with today, social media on mobile phones. But I learned something early on that the more you give, the more you get. You can get anything you want out of life. You help other people get what they want, and so I focus on the marketing.
Yeah, let me kind of give a little context. So you were Brigham Young back in the 70s in school. You done a whole bunch of different jobs and positions. I'm going through the LinkedIn, and I know like one of the things I see back in 2012, and I don't know if you want to go back even before that, but I look at the startup grind Las Vegas. You're based in Las Vegas. Then there's like Guerrilla Marketing, a company you were a senior advisor of. So you've done a lot in the marketing space. You've hosted a social media show. You've had multiple different companies. So what's driven the passion around marketing and getting into these companies and managing?
Well, it was just, I'm sorry. A couple of things. I spent a couple of years as a missionary going door to door and telling people about religion. And I was selling Christianity in Thailand, a Buddhist country. And you don't get very far by trying to make him do something. And that basis got me to something even more fundamental. And I don't mean this as religious as all, just as where my life experience was. Is that I went to church and somebody said, "You got to be the same person every day." And I thought, that's the craziest idea. Why would I be different on how I treat people at church compared to how I treat people at school? And they said school and work, but I was 7. And that stuck with me don't do the world. It's when I was taught to sell, and it was, and this is after being a missionary where, we were selling stuff, but you couldn't hard sell anybody. And, the hated car salesman and all that. I didn't want to be that. And somebody came along and Zig Ziglar says, you can get anything you want out of life if you're helping up other people get what they want. And then I took a course, changed my life. My sales tripled in 1 month. And it was stop trying to sell things, let people buy. They didn't put it quite like that. That's my line, but that's what I learned to do. Listen to people, find out what they need, and then help them get it. And so I was there for the dawn of the PC. I was into it, but not working on it. Later, I had a company that did hardware repair. But I was there for the network. I was online in 1981. I'm always, looking for the next thing. But what's changed today is now I emphasize that. I lead with that, because the stuff is changing so fast that if you think you're gonna, if you had a good year last year and there's any new technology coming, you may not have a good year next year. It's changing very fast, and so this year thing to do is to try to change that. So right now, I look at what it is. I run as fast as I can to keep up with the bleeding edge. It's how we live now. I mean, right now I got, I can do business with this thing. See if the green screen works there. I could carry my phone and do whatever I need. I could be doing this interview on that phone. It's got a better camera than the one I'm talking to you with, and it do everything. And why limit yourself to trying to do things old ways? That's 10 years old, and it's what the iPhone's now going on its 13th year, and to think that you could do business the old way of calling people or leading with the sale. That's one of the dumb things I see. It's a discount. Well, yeah, you're going to sell more when it's a discount, but you just gave away your profit margin.
Right.
And so, I just learned over the years that the more you understand, people find out what they want. They don't object to price. They don't object to terms. They just want, can you get me this result? And we get it for them, and they love it in selling anything.
I love that. And talk to me about, because you've gotten this love for technology. So you talked about the sales, right? So and I love talking about kind of the missionary background, because I think, I've definitely had conversations here with like Speaker Sue, who's not too far away from you, and I think she's in Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, right? And she talked about being very young and selling like bumper stickers for dad, and then ending up in that first role of like going out and selling encyclopedias, right? And so those kind of experiences of just raw like door-to-door salesmanship, and so being a missionary, I can't imagine what that experience was like, being in Thailand, being in a foreign country and selling something to folks. I know for us as folks are walking up to the door, it's not the most can't be the most enjoyable experience walking up to somebody's door and trying to sell something. So having that experience, and then how is that like sort of morphed into the technology aspect, the education piece of it?
The fun part was that they don't treat you like you would treat somebody door to door here. But today somebody comes to see me. This just happened. A neighbor came and had been talking to my wife, and she came at 7 p.m. My wife goes to bed about 5. And so, because she has to get up very early. And so, she's asleep. And so neighbor comes at 7, which is a respectable time to show up at somebody's house. Not bad. And wants to discuss something with me that she discussed with my wife. And I took every ounce of whatever courage. Just trying to maintain my sanity and talk to her for 30 seconds about
give her goodwill, right? Goodwill.
Yeah, we don't want to talk to people door to door anymore. I mean, so it's just ludicrous that people still try to sell that way. I don't know my neighbors. I didn't know this woman standing at the door. I wanted to be friendly. It was a neighbor, for crying out loud. And she had talked to my wife, but I didn't have the answer for her, and I just wanted to get rid of her. And I remember that feeling of that's how we do everything today. We're trying to, we're trying to shut off just random noise coming in. So when those same kind of missionaries come to my door, I'm liable to do the same thing now. But back in the day, they were very receptive, and the difference was they were receptive to the big white guy who came in and was nice, had a nice story to tell. They didn't believe me, but they would. So we talked all the time, and I also figured out, why am I talking to this fellow who had 5 minutes to spend on his doorstop when I could be talking to more people? And I didn't really picture it like that. That wasn't until much later, because I remember one of the other things I learned from going to church was participation, speaking, teaching classes, right? And everybody did. It was lay ministry. And so, and they would constantly say, they caught me. I have to speak in front of the congregation today. Speaking is the second greatest fear it's a greater fear than death or something like that. I don't know what some study said. People,
a lot of people really.
And then I stood up on a stage outside of that environment, started speaking, and figured like, man, that's a lot more fun. I'd rather be talking to you than sitting in the audience just listening. Once I decided that it could be fun, I just went ahead and did it. And my theory of life is, if it's not fun, make it fun, or find something else to do. Do stuff you want to do. Not follow your passion. That's a little bit much, but I haven't figured out how to have fun standing in the line at DMV. I don't do that. I make an appointment. But a few things like that. But why do we go to Disneyland and we stand in line? Why do we do that? Make everything fun.
Well, talk to me, because I love kind of hearing some of the thought process as you were having some of those early experiences. And I know you started to apply it later because you're like, why am I talking to one person? I could be talking to many, and the guerrilla marketing pieces of background.
And here we're talking to thousands.
How did you move from kind of that, religion, business background to this kind of high tech blockchain mindset? How did you get involved in Twitter and
yeah? Okay, so that's very important about how I moved it out of religion, is because it was never any different. It goes back to that idea of live your religion every day, and that's how I was taught to do it. You are the person you are all the time. I don't do anything different. I am wearing a jacket in my house, so I do one thing different to come on your show. But this is me all the time. If I have a green screen behind me, but I have a green screen behind me all the time. It just sits there. Every call, everything I do, I am the same person consistently. Now, bring that into the technology. I'm a gadget geek. I love the technology, right? Always did. I don't know why. Electronics, I took things apart as a kid. And so if that fueled it. So I first got jobs selling, and getting along with the organization was a problem. So I started up my own thing. And then we did 17 years of fixing computer equipment. And, I call that my 17 years in the suburbs raising kids because, it was a job, it was a place to go, didn't have to travel. And then I figured out, why do I need to drive down to an office, get rid of all the employees and work out of my house? So I've been doing that for 16 years. I moved to Las Vegas. I do not have customers in Las Vegas, not on purpose. I just, customers all over the world. And, my company I am the only employee in the United States. The guy that started it was Costa Rica. He's a Canadian. Got another Canadian who is a nomad, who is the president of the company. And then our employees are in none of those places. We just get things done, and you're able to focus on what's coming next, which is what I love, the technology. Yeah.
And what company you took? Because I know you're the CEO of Sterling Group. You're an advisor at Bit Angels. You also have Coin Agenda, which is based Singapore, Malta, Vegas, London, Puerto Rico. You also have Zeno Press. So which companies are we talking about here?
Well, right now the day job is doing the CEO of Sterling. Okay. We're in a rapid growth mode. We own websites that everyone people use to do things like download ebooks. We have the #1 site on Google search for free ebooks, and so we have tens of thousands of people coming every day looking for something.
And what's that website?
free-ebooks.net.
Beautiful.
And I don't need to worry about, pitching it or telling you to go there because, like I say, Google just sends like crazy. And then it's, how do you monetize that? What do you do? The technology, a great example. That site was built, in the aughts, and we got involved and purchased it a couple of years ago, and saw a tremendous opportunity. And we made some changes. Right now, I'm hands-on a lot more than usual, and just getting into it and finding out they've survived and often thrived on old technology. And I don't want to go be me and say, hey, we've got to stick AI in it tomorrow, take the site down. We don't do things that way. And so that's the next step of matching people to what they need. Think about it. Every time you click, you're voting on something. I saw it. You had the banner up, to like and click and subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's good. Please do. But more than that, and I do love that you say show your love. That's how I say it. It's not just sharing; it is showing love. You're voting for something when you do that. and I totally appreciate having that. And so by the time I got to writing the book on Twitter, it was just like I had been promoting books, many bestsellers. I hadn't written a book, and so I got a co-author. We wrote a book. I saw that there were no books on Twitter, and so we made it about Twitter. It could have been called Social Media Revolution. I think somebody else. It was probably after that somebody took the title, but Twitter Revolution had Twitter in it, and Twitter was failing all the time when we wrote it, and we actually postponed coming out. We thought, why come out with a book in the summer when there's a fail whale every day? We waited till the fall. I opposed anybody telling me to change the name because I said, we're the first book on Twitter. We got to get it out. And it came out, and that was 2008. And that led to the little bit more fame and being known. I got to tell you, if you haven't written a book, write a book or put it in your, put it in your bucket list, something you got to do, and make it early, because a book can really change your personal career. And then not long after that, I finally decided I'd had webcams. I'm in the tech. Decided to put a camera on and hook it up and make sure it was working at all times. And I had lots of, today's set. This particular streaming application I know doesn't have automatic green screen, so I pulled up the green screen, and you can see a little bit of clutter over there, because it doesn't quite cover the shot and everything, but it's real. It's me. Other days it's me in a ragged T-shirt, because that's just me. And may not bother to shave for a meeting, because we can do that now. I laugh. I laugh because you're well dressed, and that we all ought to be. I sometimes watch somebody wearing a suit on TV, and I go like, I kind of miss that. I don't miss wearing a suit every day, but I kind of miss that I wear a suit once in a while.
I think part of the new world, right? And because I talk about it a little bit, and sometimes I think people look at me, I know it can be a little bit intimidating, especially going into like some of the networking events. Everybody's kind of in sort of dressed down, home gear, and properly so. But there's a lot of room for people to be what they want to be. I mean, you got the tech geniuses of the world. They're in T-shirts and jeans and in Palo Alto and San Francisco, and they're billionaires. So, just because somebody has a suit on doesn't make them anything. I just like my suit of armor, makes me feel comfortable. And I think that's the biggest thing for folks that are going out onto social media is being comfortable, being you, just like you're talking about, and being comfortable with that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something. Let's talk fashion. There's something to having a uniform that you wear all the time. People expect it. I used to be quite a bit heavier than I am now, and so I lost 70 pounds, and I went out and bought jeans. I now wear the same size waist as I did in high school, and I was fat in high school. I'm fat now, but I'm not huge, and so when I could wear jeans, I started wearing jeans. Then I went someplace without wearing jeans, and they go like, "Where's your jeans? We know you're the guy with the jeans." And I wear a certain kind of New Balance shoe that has anti-pronation in it, and they were ugly, and they were just one style, but they were running shoes. They weren't like disgusting ugly. They just weren't appropriate to wear with a suit. And so it sort of showed up like that, and then everybody, well, where's that? And then for a while, there was a joke about bare feet. A friend was who I met when she was starting out as the barefoot entrepreneur, I think it was barefoot entrepreneur. Anyway, and people were giving her a bad time about how that's not a professional way to go. Like, look around at the people here. It was people working online. So I actually, something at my house, remembering to put on shoes is something that could happen. I can walk out to the car, forget I don't have shoes on. And so I actually remember leaving the hotel room and go like, oh crap, I put on shoes. I'm going to pull the stunt of going out barefoot. And whatever you do, people then expect that out of you. They wanted me to be barefoot everywhere.
Yeah, I think if Gary Vee showed up in a suit, people would be like, what the hell, right? You get to expect a certain thing.
What banker are you meeting with? Yes. Last time I took my picture with Gary, he had people standing in line, and I didn't want to stand in line to get the book signed because Gary's a friend. Gary's interviewed for Twitter Revolution. And so I walked up and he says, "Oh, yeah, hi." And I said, "Let's take a picture." I put my arm around him. He had just been speaking. I put my arm back. And if I tell you this story now, I can still feel the sweat on my arm. Um, that man works, he has to appear in a t-shirt because he's going to sweat so much on stage. That might be where it comes from when we had the rock and rollers down dressed.
Comfort is a big deal, right?
It is. It is.
I want to get us back on track here because I know we want to get some takeaways and give some value to folks. So,
sure.
Can you talk to expecting to use technology in people's business? So, this idea that wherever you started speaking to it in terms of the company that you're working with, that they're doing some things the old way, but understanding that technology is evolving, and how should we be trying to understand and bring technology and adapt to new technology in our business?
Yeah, huge, very good question, because huge thing I'm missing in what my philosophy is. I want to reduce friction. I want to make it easy, and that same drive that got me to want to speak to larger audiences, and then fueled what I did in advertising and marketing. It's like, turn that around. What's that for the customer? Today, I don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about what's going to happen next. And it's actually, so what the point I was trying to make with the fashion thing was, the guy who wears a hoodie every day, or in a black t-shirt, never has to think about it. I got a friend, very rich, when he packs, he actually teaches this to the audience. When he packs, he's got X number pair of shorts and X number pair of black t-shirts. It wears the same kind of shoes all the time and the same color sock, and he's done. That's how he dresses. And so that's what we want to do. We want to reduce the friction. And I think it's more than just fashion. That is making your life so that it's as easy as possible. My bed is 15 feet behind me. That's not even that. It's probably 10 or 12 feet. And then on the other side of my bedroom is a pool. I don't have to go very far. The kitchen is, a 2-minute walk. No, it's not a 2-minute. It's close. I don't live in a mansion. It's not that far away. But, there's food. There's everything I want. It's right here. And now I can go out. I can do whatever let's assume that someday I'll be able to leave the house again. But I love to travel and meet people face to face and everything. Aren't we now learning, though, that we can have real relationships like this? And so, think about how you can reduce friction. How can you make it easier so that when somebody opens an app and wants something, I'm walking around with my phone and I want what you sell. And instead of you forcing yourself on everybody, what you want is to have that. One more story on it. I remember talking to a person when I was promoting books that was trying to promote a collection of books about autism, and they said, I know you have a target market, and they go, well, everybody knows somebody with autism. Well, yeah, but not everybody's shopping for a book for autism. How are you going to do that? And I remember so distinctly that day of just telling them, like, what you really want is when you go and you get that horrible diagnosis of your kid has autism, is that when you go home or when you look at your phone or, when you talk to somebody, they go like, I understand. I've been through that. Here's what you need to do. That's what people want. When you're shopping for an expert, whether it's a dentist, a plumber, a dry cleaner, one of my favorite ones to use an example, I want somebody who's competent at what they do and cares about getting it right for me, that'll do what they're going to say. That's what I'm looking for. And then the expertise is you either got it or you're not. If you're selling a solution that will help me get leads for my business, and I'm in the business of let's use the free ebook site. I've got tons of people coming there. I need to filter them and get the ones that want to buy something. I don't need somebody to set me more appointments. I don't make an appointment with somebody to talk them into going to a site and downloading a free ebook. And so, I just dismiss those people, and I try to be polite. Back to my story about opening the front door. everything you do, you're going to go ahead and try to do that, but we're just bombarded. So find out exactly what somebody needs and then see that they get it through as little friction as possible.
Yeah,
You can't know that the person just got the autism diagnosis, but you can try. You can get as close to that as you can.
Yeah, I love what you're talking about, reducing friction. I mean, definitely connecting thought leaders to the people that need it, and figuring out how to make that quicker and more searchable and more relevant. Google's done a great job of that. One of the things, I have a hospitality business, and one of the things that is really interesting, because I'm very much on the older school side of things, from, you call me, yes, you can email me and everything, but usually there's a phone call in there. And so now there's like the Uber apps for booking waiters, bartenders, kitchen assistants, chefs, especially in New York City, where I am. And so, I'm very much like, well, my process, the way I do it, I'm very set in it. Like, there's a reason I do things the way I do. There's quality, and a lot of that is true. But being open to it, right? So I actually had a conversation with some of the guys that work for these other companies, and seeing from their point of view why they work for some of these companies. There's things that I haven't been able to do because I haven't incorporated technology at that level, but they're working some gigs, and as they're clocking out, the money is hitting their bank account because they're using the app, and the way that the company is utilizing technology and financing and pulling it all together, they're able to do something for their staff, which for that community, for waiters, for bartenders, for kitchen assistants, it's a gig-based economy kind of thing. They're looking to get payment right away. They may need that desperately, or it's just a convenience that if they can get it, it's a definite attraction for working for one company. So being open to that technology, that was definitely an eye opener for me, because I was very much like, that just doesn't make sense. But then you see it from their point of view, and it's like, wow, that is reducing the friction between, the time you work and the time you get a paycheck, and building that trust up. Because if I get paid right away, how much more willing am I to work for that company? So it's definitely, I love that piece of it. Change is inevitable, right? So talk to us a little bit about change being inevitable for individual businesses.
I think you gave us a great example there, but yeah, if you're, and by the way, what you touched on is something we work a lot on in blockchain and fintech, is the payments. I got started with blockchain back in 2012 when we were working on a book called Billions Rising, came out in 2013. We interviewed people about, people that were helping the ultra poor around the world. The people that make less than $1 a day and less than $10 a day, things like that. One of the things we found was money transfer was holding up all sorts of things. But and by the way, the overall message there was just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Somebody needs a bowl of rice, you give them that. But beyond that, we can't go over there and force a poor country to become like us. It just, that nation building thing doesn't work, whether it's peaceful or war or whatever we're doing. The way to do it is find out that people just like us, they want things. Find out what they want, see that they get it. So and one of the things they wanted was faster money transfer. So we did that.
Explain how blockchain, because I think, it's very complicated. And, I put some money into Bitcoin, and because it's very expensive, I put it, into Robinhood. So I don't own a Bitcoin. But let's say you own a currency like Bitcoin or Doge or there's so many of them now, Litecoin, all these different coins. How does that actually work in terms of transferring from one country to another, being able to pull that out in funds? How does it work?
It works like it works exactly like transferring a web page or listening to a podcast, or pulling up Facebook. It's all the same kind of technology. Everything's wired. So somebody that has even a feature phone, which is not smartphone. Today though, a feature phone, you're getting a lot more than making phone calls. Flip phones, that technology, and you can get a text, and that text can tell you you've got money. We use Venmo, PayPal, different things to transfer money in the United States, but they don't have that. So it's these text.
I haven't done it, right? So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
So let's get first of all, get blockchain. blockchain was invented to make Bitcoin work. I mean, there's a lot of technology before the 2009 white paper, but it might have been 2008. Anyway, before that white paper came out and started the Bitcoin, you know, it was relying on a whole lot of great technology, cryptography, whatever. But blockchain is a series of blocks, which think of them as rows in a spreadsheet. So it can be one row or it can be 100 rows, doesn't matter. So let's say I got 10 rows, and then the next block is going to be 10 rows again, and then the next block, and then the next block, and they're going to hook them together. You chain them together, and that's a blockchain. Once you understand that, then you put it on a whole bunch of computers, and it's safe because I'm doing the cryptography on each computer.
Let me tell you what I do understand, right? So I understand blockchain, and anybody that's watched like The Mandalorian, they kind of featured a blockchain Easter egg in the sense that they transferred the ownership of his Mandalorian armor, and they gave sort of the
it was recorded in a database, basically.
Right, database. So I understand that there's a database, the fact that it's decentralized, so that same information is coded and on different computers all over the world to understand that, this dollar or this Bitcoin, if you will, is this true Bitcoin and belongs to whoever the holder of this identity token. So if Warren has that, it's his. If Cameron has it, it's his. I get that aspect of it, but right. How does it actually work? So I want to send money to another country. Now I have Bitcoin, but the local store doesn't accept Bitcoin.
Right.
How does
So I mean, let's get to that micro view. You need to understand that the account of the local store is kept in a bank. It's centralized. He doesn't have the dollars. He has whatever the currency is. Doesn't have the fiat currency. It's recorded someplace, and the government or whoever can change the value of that.
Right.
The U.S. government devalued our currency like crazy over the last year. Look up M1 Money Supply, Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and you can find out that we're basically in the process of destroying the currency.
Right. Well, and you guys so forex, foreign exchange, like money changing worth versus right, the dollar versus the euro, the dollar versus the peso.
Yeah, that's all going to go away in the future. That in the Mandalorian episode you talked about, they did not have to agree to a currency and worry about transfer rates. It just happened. Think about it. How often do you go to a website and think, am I using the right protocol to see this website? Used to be. We used to have things like, you can't view this if you don't have Java. This page created in the new wonderful, and companies would go out and spend $1 million to create a website and nobody could see it. Yeah, I must download Flash. Flash.
Yeah, I remember the Flash websites very well.
Yes, Flash is dead. Long live the internet, or something like that. And and so and my phone. What would happen if my phone didn't talk to your phone? And so today, phones are still centralized, so they all go through a central office.
So am I understanding that
money doesn't have to be?
So are we? So I understand, Bitcoin is, and especially
right,
Bitcoin, that's the big name out there, but all these different coins. So we're going towards a point where it'll be accepted in more places. But what are we doing as interim?
But I don't use my Bitcoin and go to 7-Eleven and buy a Slurpee, and I don't see that ever happen. One of the restrictions of Bitcoin is it can only do X number of transactions a minute. And there are other protocols that go a lot faster. And so things will be, but if I want to buy a house, I can pay in Bitcoin. It can transfer from my account to your account seamlessly. And in the future, think about a real estate transaction. I like that because it's most complex most of us ever think about. And there's a stack of paperwork. I don't think that stack of paperwork is going away anytime soon. But theoretically, we know that if you and I, somehow trust each other enough that I can put my thumbprint on something on my screen, and you do the same thing, All the other things are there. They're in smart contracts where, absolutely everything that can be thought of is in there. All that stuff about here's the statement that you don't have flood insurance, and and don't need it, and here's the statement that you're filing saying that you read it.
Right.
That all becomes all easy.
We're getting to that point. I mean, in with all the horrible things that have happened over the last year, we've sort of been gifted with the digitization of contracts and all that kind of stuff. So I understand if you accept Bitcoin and I have Bitcoin, we can make a transaction.
Right.
What are we doing in the interim? So I heard yesterday from Bailey that I had on the show. He was talking about, something that would be good for people to invest in right now is a Bitcoin ATM. So something that you could go to and exchange your Bitcoin for cash.
Yeah. Well, okay. To me, that's old thinking, because I'm not against. I know people doing that. And they've had it for some time. I think one of the first ones, there was a location in Las Vegas. You can go and buy your Bitcoin right at the ATM. But why? Why go someplace to buy your Bitcoin? Why? I've got plenty of equipment right here. I don't need to go anywhere.
Well, I think the point is because I want to go to 7-Eleven and buy that Slurpee, Warren.
Right. What we need is the technology. So when you need the Slurpee, now right now I don't know of a 7-Eleven that is pay by phone, but I do go to places theoretically, because everything's home delivered today. But theoretically, I can go to a place and pay my bill with my phone. And once it's on the phone, the protocol, the currency just doesn't matter. It'll get taken care of in the back end. I got another company I advise that is working on the transfer, and that basically it is your phone becomes something you can pay for. Think about Disney World.
And I just want to understand.
You go to Disney World, they give. Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm trying to make it as simple as possible.
I think what you're getting at is, if you have Bitcoin on an app, it can do the exchange, and we already have the pay by phone technology.
Exactly.
So that can transfer to your bank or your card.
Right. It doesn't quite work like that, because if you needed a Bitcoin transfer real time so you can spend the money, that's a problem. If you need to, if I need to sell some Bitcoin, why would I? It's just going to keep going up. It's just there. It's set there. It's like having gold bars. But if I needed to sell some Bitcoin, the money would arrive in my bank in 3 days with the exchange I'm using. There are other ways to do it and get it in minutes or whatever. But if I'm not sending you Bitcoin but I want US dollars, I can have them, and it's ACH that takes the time. So the order goes through, I'm charged, bam, it goes in the banking system, and then, a day and a half later, probably in my bank.
And the point around all this is that you are eliminating the banking fee. So rather than me paying 52 cents and buying an envelope to send a letter through the mail, I'm hitting a button on my computer, and you're getting my message, right? And
so that's how we pay bills. That's how we do most transactions. You just described email, right? You get rid of the letter. So what happens when we can go when we can just go walk into the 7-Eleven and it recognizes us? I mean, there's stores now, Amazon building stores where you pick up what you want. It's stocked with the best-selling Amazon fresh products and some others, so they know exactly what to stock based on what people buy around that area. And then you walk in, you pick it up, and it knows, it's read the barcode or the chip or whatever, and it knows what it is, and you walk out. You don't have to check out. We've eliminated
back to taking the friction out of the process, right? Taking
absolutely.
The friction out of it. Absolutely. All right. So just a little bit of time left, Warren. The more you give, the more you get. Talk to us about that.
Well, it's funny, I post things like this on Twitter, and I love quote cards. You can load up quote cards and push them out on social media, and people will like them, but it's a waste of time. but I love posting quotes and then having discussion on things that really affect me. And giving is a big one. If if you're, and people will say, well, but what if you give and give and give and other people take? Well, then you haven't really found out the joy of giving. The joy of giving is an immediate reward, and reciprocity works when you give without any kind of expectation of return. So if let's use hospitality. If you arrive at my venue and I give you a drink, it's sometimes expected depending on where it is, but then is there an expectation that you're going to do something in return? And maybe not. Car dealer, you walk in and they offer you a cup of coffee. You know why they're doing it. It's to get it, build up a rapport, have a reason to talk to you, get started on stuff. But if it's just like absolutely here you go, giving, the universe is going to take care of that. You're going to get it back. Yeah, it may be that you give and give and give with your kids, and it doesn't look like you're getting anything out of it. Boy, if you don't understand that the joy of having children is to give stuff to them, to take care of them, give them your time, your effort, and of course a lot of money. If you don't understand that, don't have kids, and they're not going to. The love you get back from them is wonderful, but that's the bonus. That's the gravy. The joy is in doing it. You're doing the right thing. You're raising good human beings. You're doing it for that reason. Once you let go of the reciprocity being quid pro quo, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Nothing wrong with that. It's good business. But when you get rid of that and say, like, what could I do? I'm sitting here thinking, what could I do to help Cameron get his show out to more people that's within reason I can do? Okay, I do a lot of these. I can't become your marketing director on every one of them. But I can send a tweet. Right? By the way, yeah, every show host, when I say this, always says, yeah, but my show's different. My show's the best. Of course it is. It's the best you can do. They all are. And I say the same thing on my show. And, but think about it. I like commenting and helping people on social media just as much as posting something wonderful that people are going to click on, because that means that person now is not indebted, but open for the reciprocity. And so I just talked to a guy I hadn't talked to in years. We were put together by Lunch Club, a great way to meet just executives out there, and you can't sell on it. So and I matched with this guy, and I'm going like, I know him. And so, we both wanted to do the meeting because we hadn't talked in so long. Well, he just survived cancer. We had a lot of interesting things to catch up on. The last time we talked about crypto, and he's not doing that anymore. It's something different. The reason why all of his Facebook posts were about watching movies he wasn't working last year. I didn't even know. So I may try to track too many friends. But anyway, so we got together, talked as friends on that, and then it was like, well, what are you doing? What can I do more for you? And so that's what I look at. So I will comment on his movie reviews, not because I want to, talk movies. We all do, but that's not why. The reason is it's because that guy's my friend. I got one friend that started posting pictures of wildflowers. I just can't, and poetry with it. I can't read poetry. It's something in my brain. It doesn't work. Don't particularly like looking at landscape photos. But it's not that his stuff is bad, but but the connection with that guy has been very profitable to me, and he's a good friend now. There's no reason I'm going to not pay attention to his stuff. It's because what can I do to help you? Because now when I got a really hard question about email marketing or something, I can't go take a course on it. I've been doing it for so long, teaching it. I have to call a guy who has actually mailed 1 billion emails in a month, and he's got an idea. He helps me. And he does that as my friend because of the relationship of now 25 years. And so you got to think about investing in something longer term. Oh, it all comes back to the missionary thing. You got to invest in the next life, in everything that's going to happen from now on, and not just about where can I, or what if I use this social media or this app or this new technology, can I get more people to buy today? No, that's not what business is. Business is long term. How long do you expect to be in business and alive? That's the time frame you ought to be looking at. And then, let the religious, spiritual, worrying about the next life, we'll leave that for another show. You're muted.
Trying to block out the sound of my child doing online learning here. So I want to shout out, first of all, I want to shout out Glow because she had an amazing compliment. I learn a lot from camera shows. That's why I tune in often. It's on my calendar. Glow, thank you so much. We had Robert Person checking in, and he was talking about QR codes as a way to do the digital currency and check in and all that kind of stuff. I'm so appreciative of this conversation, Warren. And so many religions have this, give of yourself, and it's such a universal message. And it's interesting that we do have to, I feel like we do need to promote that. We need to talk about it because so much of life is transactional, and people understand that, well, I got to go out and make money. So I'm going to do this, you give me that. But really the world does operate in a spiritual way and also in an actual physical way where you give and I believe that. I think that you put out good stuff. I think you be smart about it and obviously do things that make sense, but you give willingly, you do things out of joy, and you will get an amazing amount back, especially once you've stepped in a pothole. It is really nice to look behind you and make sure the next person doesn't do that. And when you have a success, to show other people how to do that. I thank you for doing that for us today. I really appreciate hearing about your background. I want to give you an opportunity to tell people where to find you and what kind of folks are you looking to connect with, Warren?
Well, I'm looking to connect with givers. I like to do business with people that do what they say they're going to do. That amount of integrity, which is woefully missing in the world. But everybody, you get to have a large enough audience. You don't have to worry as much about target. Funny thing is, I teach targeting all day long, but I don't do much of it myself.
So if people reach out to you on LinkedIn today, you'd be open to putting together a meeting. And I think that's really important. I mean, and that's something that's been a big revelation for me is I'm doing a lot of one-to-ones, and those aren't business oriented. It's just getting to know you and giving of whatever I can. And I think you're
go join Lunch Club, and you'll probably meet somebody that can help your business more than me. But yeah, if it doesn't matter, tweet me, do something in public. Because if you want to ask me a question of, well, I give, and I never get back. I get that all the time, and I appreciate getting that because I know people are struggling getting that concept down. And when I learned that happiness is a decision, that and I made that decision. I said I'm always going to be happy. I'm always going to try to make what I do fun. And if I could teach other people that, that's just phenomenal. I get more joy from that than anything else that I do. But if if you have a business proposition and you'd like to tell me about it, if you have a startup looking for funding, let me know about it. If you know about one, if you're looking for how to invest, sure, I can connect you with resources. But if you're trying to set up a meeting so we can get to know each other because you're selling life insurance, I'm going to turn it down, because I just don't have time for every meeting I want. But if instead you come to me and say, I love what you said about this, let's talk about that, then that may lead to a meeting, may lead to business. I find most of the time I'm looking for vendors more than washing them, unless you're doing overseas software development, can't get or you're recruiting, can't get more of those. I just don't know where I put them. But anyway, everybody else, tweet me, Twitter @Warren Whitlock. I talk to people. I talk to business people and non-business people in Nigeria all the time. I love it. A lot of good people over there. They are not scammers. They're, it's a nation of 200 million people. There's only that one prince invented by some spammer. There are princes in Nigeria, but in fiction there is great people. Very much.
Say goodbye to everybody, Warren. Thank you so much.
Goodbye, everybody. See you.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.